Right there. At least on our side of the aisle, gentlemen. I'm sorry, ladies. I saw a smirk back there. I shouldn't have brought it up. We love you. But we remember things too. Okay. This is the business end of the Bradley Boathouse. That's the floating dock. That's where early in the season, Osprey, you will see, these might be the kids, although I think it's a little early for them. They are kind of immature. Well, aren't we all? So this is where early in the morning the crew team gathers for practice right around dawn. I mentioned it's a mile and a half from campus. They have to run over here and run back. It's part of their conditioning. And they do 2-a-day practices early on in the summer, or the spring. No, it's the fall. I'll get it. So that's 6 miles of road work in addition to all the rowing. The last thing those kids would want is a Peloton. Look at what the cypress knees are doing to this property on the left. Take a look through the trees, you can see it. The point is, the point is, with all those points on the beach, how do you get to enjoy it? You can't lay out, certainly. But if somebody tossed you the keys and said you can have it for the weekend, I think you'd grab it. You'd figure out that little dance on the beach. Try TikTok, there's got to be something. All right, here we go with quiet time again. And I will rejoin the party right before we get to that little bridge over here. Okay, back at you just in time to give you a subtle reminder about the bridge up ahead. There it is. Don't do anything silly. I think we're fine. And look here, we've got Christmas in June. I don't know what's wrong with the timer. These things go on in the early morning and they go all day long. I do not understand it. It's sunny here. We don't. When we are under the bridge, look at either side of the walls. You will see the high water marks on the low end of the walls, either way. The water does get high here when we get our summer rains in the afternoon, so we can't have tops on the boats. And it's also why, even though we are encouraged to make you laugh a little bit along the way, we can't exactly do stand-up, at least until we find some better material. Well, we've seen some beautiful homes. You might wonder if we have beautiful people living in them. We'll have have a handful, I guess, about that. Not too many. And the way we handle it is we don't tell you who lives where. The last thing we would need are all of you knocking on doors at dinner time looking for photographs. But we do have a workaround. If somebody famous leaves town, we're on it. Watch the bamboo here above us. Yeah, if somebody leaves town, we're right there. And there is a case in point. Look to the right. There's a series of boathouses, and then you'll see the corner of a red brick house with white trim. And it will get larger as we continue going this way. There it is. 1948, and a young man came to Rollins College, transferring in from Dartmouth. He was a music major, and he brought along a grand piano. That's not going to fit in anybody's dog. So he had a problem. He called mom and dad. They lived outside of Pittsburgh. They talked it over and decided to get a house down for the piano and for the family. He went on to greatness. He graduated. He went to divinity school. He became a minister, and then he went into television, children's television. You know this guy, Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, Senior Rogers. That was Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, at least in 1951 when he graduated from Rollins. So what do you think, gang? When he used to sing, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood," was he talking about that place? I wouldn't be surprised. It's still a beautiful neighborhood. And for kiddos your size, this was Daniel Tiger's grandfather. Does that make any sense? No. You see, you try to connect with the younger generation. House. It's a little big for a spray bottle, but I think you get the idea. A lot of glass. These folks across the way, same idea. But if this ever morphs into a competition for the most glass, I'm still going with those folks with the new drapes. I'm sorry. Just a fan favorite, you know? I feel like I know. Under the brown tile roof of the tower sits 27,000 square feet of living space. Remember, the new one is just north of 40,000, so good luck catching either of those two. 3 doors down, there's the dark gray house with the white trim and chimney. That's where the Capen house sat for all those years, more than 100 of them, until 8 years back when they came at it with the big saws to cut it in half for that little waltz across the water to the new location at the museum. This may be the most Winter Park thing you will ever hear. They actually nicknamed those 2 house pizzas Fred and Ginger for that little waltz. You can't make this stuff up here. Remember the guy that got the great deal on double lakefront property over on Lakes Virginia and myself? His name was Morse. Some people might remember that, but usually people kind of lose it when they hear $3 an acre. That's what they remember. That's our guy. Charles Hosmer Morse owned half of Winter Park, but he lived in a cottage. Wait until you see it. Going to be way up this sunny hill through the trees and across the street, so we may see traffic between us and Osceola Lodge way in the distance. That's 6,300 square feet. So I ask you, in what world is that a cottage? This one, early on at least. Remember, these were wealthy folks from up north. Back then, up there, the rule was pretty simple. If it wasn't your main house, it's just a cottage. I think the rules may have changed. This is no cottage. That's the longtime home of the longest-serving president at Rollins. His name was Hamilton Holt. He's the guy that brought Spain to tour. I'm sorry, but perhaps you'd find a way to keep that a secret. And maybe that one could stay here on the boat. Thanks, everybody. Hope you did like it. Keep those seats until we get to the dock. These gentlemen will tie us to that dock, and I'll jump out and get the door for you. Thanks again, everybody.